What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another FPL Seal video. So today we have the final installment in my mini-series. After this we will get some Game Week 17 wildcard drafts, possibly some tactical videos. I'm hoping to do a Man City one and stuff, so stay tuned for that. If you do think that you will enjoy that content, then please subscribe to the channel. A massive thank you to the 100 people who have already subscribed. It means so much to me. It helps me grow this channel. The next goal is of course 200, and then it'll just go up from there. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So on the screen in front of you, we do have the best fixtures lined up by attack for Game Week 17, Game Week 22, just like in the midfielder video. It's the exact same table, and if you want to hear some thoughts about that, then go on and check that one out. The midfielder video, that is. Now, Wolves, Liverpool, Bournemouth and Arsenal have the worst attacking fixtures. Keep that in mind. I don't think that's necessarily saying you should avoid Liverpool and Arsenal, who are really good attacks. Sometimes you have to read into the stats and focus on the team more than the fixtures, but it's a good thing to keep in mind. Of course, Chelsea and Man City, we should be targeting those teams. The problem with Chelsea is there's huge rotation. Armando Broja just got injured. Who knows if the guy in front of you, Kai Havertz, is going to be number one, or if it's going to be Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang or someone else, we do not know. I believe Chelsea want to sign a striker in the window, the January window. Man City, of course, we have Erling Braut Haaland, who is a really good player, and he's going to be in most of our teams. He is 82% owned right now at the time of recording. I only expect that to go up. At Fulham, you have Alexander Mitrovic, and of course he has on 4 yellow cards, so that is something to keep in mind for him. But I think a nice little plan for Alexander Mitrovic is to have him in your teams at the start, then move him on to Tony in Game Week 20, so you'll get his double game week, and then when he has Newcastle, Tottenham, Chelsea in the 3 games, and Tony has Bournemouth, Leeds, Southampton, you can just jump ship and just go to Tony. That's at least what I would do if I start with Mitrovic, but I may not have him, as you will see. So here we have the best for expected points. The forwards, I mean, naturally it's Kane and Haaland up top. The biggest surprise, of course, might be that Kane is he's on top of Haaland, so that is kind of surprising for me, and I think a few of you will share my surprise there. Haaland has overachieved massively, basically taken all the chances he can get, and of course playing in that brilliant Man City team. I mean, he's been fantastic. Harry Kane is just about underperforming, and I do believe every single forward in this list except for Haaland is underperforming his stats, so everyone should have more points than they should have. And if you look at Ivan Toney, who's in third, he's very surprisingly, there is not a huge gap between Ivan Toney and Erling Haaland and Kane, so maybe that is a player we should be going for. And like I said, Mitrovic to start with and then moving him on to Ivan Toney might not be a bad plan. Now, best for XGI. Now, expected goal involvement, Erling Haaland, of course, he has the highest expected goal involvement, and of course he overachieves on that stat like every other stat in this video. Kane, 16.3, he's got 15, so just about underperforming. Tony, just about underperforming. Gabriel Jesus, just about underperforming, of course, injured for a couple of months, sadly. Mitrovic, he's underperforming, and Darwin is underperforming. I mean, most of the forwards seem to be underperforming, while if you remember from the midfield video, most of the midfielders were kind of overperforming their stats. So that is an interesting thing to note. And here we have the best for predicted points. Now, Erling Haaland and Harry Kane, of course, top the pile. This time it's Haaland on top. He has 54.9 predicted points, while Kane has 46.6. Then there's a huge drop off towards Darwin, who has 31.1. So if you're thinking about going with a premium lineup of Haaland, Kane and Darwin, according to the predicted points, you're not wrong, but might be hard to make a decent team around that. I don't know. Next up is Callum Wilson. I really rate Callum Wilson. I think Newcastle are on fine form. Maybe they won't return in the same form after the World Cup, but they're still a very nice side. They have a good fixture run, and I expect them to do quite well. I expect him to have penalties as well, be booked in for 90 minutes. Newcastle don't have any European competition, so they only have the Prem and the Cups. So I'm expecting a lot of game time for Wilson, and I'm expecting his owners to haul. If I can fit him into my team, I probably will do that, and I'll get into that in the end of the video. Ivan Toney 5th, and then Mitrovic, and then of course Anthony Martial, who has a very nice fixture run. I have my eye on him along with Mitrovic. Tony, of course, like I went into, he's playing kind of like a premium forward for the small price of 7.4 million. Mitrovic and Martial, of course, have nice fixtures. Mitrovic has a double game week, so of course I think that plays into them being on this list. So now we have the best forwards, 4.2 to 5.7, and now I'm just going to tell you guys, I really tried my best. Maybe I'm wasting everyone's time, and maybe everyone's just going to skip this part. You're not interested in these forwards. I'm telling you guys, it's just a dry wasteland out there. Outside of Greenwood, who's 4.2, you should not be looking at options under 5 million. Greenwood is not nailed. Of course, this is the Leeds forward. He is not nailed for minutes, but he is, he gets some minutes. He scored a goal. I think he's got an assist. I mean, if you're looking for an enabler, 4.2, it doesn't get any lower than that, and doesn't get any better than Greenwood. If you're willing to pay a little bit more, like $1 million more, you have Odsonne-Edouard at Crystal Palace. He seems to be pretty nailed on as their starting striker. Vieira seems to prefer him to Mateta. Brennan Johnson at Nottingham Forest is next, and then we have Diego Costa, Moore at Bournemouth, and then Daka at Leicester. The reason that I'm ranking Daka and Moore, and of course Diego Costa just plays for a bad attacking side. Moore and Daka are not nailed on for minutes. There are players preferred, like Jamie Vardy and Solanke in their teams respectively. They are preferred for that position, so you can watch those guys if you're interested in them. If you're not, just go without this price point. So this is a little bit more juicy, and I'm actually going to say this is quite juicy. 5.8 to 7.7 million forwards. Up there, like you can see, I've put Wilson up top. His expected points is 30.8. He has 55 points this season, even though he got an injury. He's 7.4 million. I think that's a bargain price for him in the team that he's playing for and the form that they're in. Next is Alexander Mitrovic. He has penalties just like Wilson. He's 6.8 million. 61 points, should have 80 something, like you saw earlier in the video with the expected points. 29.7 is his expected predicted points score. I do like Alexander Mitrovic, I really do, and I think he did really well in the World Cup. He scored 9 goals this season, and he scored 2 or 3 at the World Cup, so that was very well done from him. Do I think he'll be in my side? I just can't tell you. I think he's going to be the template forward, in this price bracket. But will he be in my side? We'll see in the end of the video. Martial is third, 6.7. I mean, 21 points. His predicted points are 28.6. It's pretty damn good. He has 3 very nice looking fixtures at the beginning, so that's something you could look at. I mean, he will probably be differential. I think he didn't go to the World Cup, so he'll probably start the games. Might have penalties for Man United. I mean, he took a few. Bruno Fernandes didn't get to take those penalties, or Martial just wanted to take them. I don't know. We'll have to. That's one to watch, I think. Then, of course, I put Kai Havertz number 4. The only reason he's not, more up on this list, and also why he doesn't have more predicted points, I think is because of the game time. We can't guarantee him any game time. But if he is the main striker after Armand de Bruyne got injured, I think he is going to be insane value. Chelsea have a good fixture run. They have a double game week against Fulham and Man City. And so, of course, Havertz might be a nice punt. Now, of course, I've talked about Ivan Toney, but I'm going to talk about Eddie Nketiah a little bit. He has very nice stats. He looks like a really good forward. You could go for Eddie Nketiah. 6.5 million should be a bargain. And he's got 12 points because he hasn't had the minutes this season, but he's expected to go and get 26.1 points in the next few game weeks. Arsenal do have a double game week in 23 and might have some others lined up soon, so he might be one to watch. I think I would go without Eddie Nketiah, but get in a Martial or Mitrovic or Wilson that you could easily jump away from and bring in Eddie if you want to. So here are the best forwards, 7.8 to 9.7. I mean, this was a very dry wasteland, like the most cheap forwards. It's basically Darwin, Firmino and Calvert-Lewin. The reason this is dry is because Jesus is injured, Jota is injured, and Richarlison is injured. I mean, they're all injured. Darwin, Firmino and Calvert-Lewin's actually yellow flagged as well. So it's basically Darwin and Firmino, but just so that I could mention someone else, I put Calvert-Lewin in there. And he's not in my thoughts, and he shouldn't be in yours either. Although I do think he's a very decent striker and seems to be that target man for Everton. But Darwin and Firmino, they are very nice forwards. Darwin is the one that I'm targeting, but Firmino seems to be getting a lot of minutes as well. And with all those injuries to Diaz and Jota, I think Firmino might be worth a punt at 8.1 if you can't afford Darwin. There's quite a drop off from the predicted points. Darwin 31.1 and Firmino 21.2. So nearly 10 points drop off. But like I said in my previous videos, this is just predictions. Predictions don't always come true. Firmino can score a hat-trick in one game and then blank for 4 games. You know, he's that sort of player. But keep this in mind. And then finally, it's the premium forwards, Haaland and Kane. Now, I thought about not having this and just including them with the others, but they deserve their own slide. They're so good. They're such brilliant FPL assets that, you know, you can't really go without them. Haaland 12.2. If you don't have him in your squad, you're playing FPL wrong. I don't often say this, but he's just insane. So I think you need to have him. Unless Pep starts rotating him in and out, then you have to have him. He's expected to get 54.9 points. He scored 18 goals and 3 assists. Now Harry Kane, he's on 4 yellow cards, and that is the only reason why I'm thinking about going without him. He was in my plans until I figured out that he has only got, you know, 1 more yellow card and then he's suspended for 1 match. So I'm kind of wanting to avoid that. He's got 12 goals and 3 assists, so he's kind of keeping up with Haaland as much as anyone can keep up with Haaland. So I do really like that, and I think it's a really good option that you might want to consider if you're willing to take the risk for the yellow cards. So here are the overall rankings. Of course, Haaland is number 1 and Kane is number 2. Then it's Darwin, then it's Wilson, then Mitrovic and Martial. So this is one of the few times that I'm actually kind of agreeing with the predicted points. I expect Haaland and Kane to get the most points. I expect Darwin to be 3rd there, then Wilson. Of course, then there's Tony in between Mitrovic and Martial. But I think Mitrovic and Martial are better options than Ivan Toney at the start. But if we're looking from game week 19 to 22 or 23, I think Toney is a better asset than Mitrovic and potentially Martial as well. Because I think Martial will get rotated as soon as Man United bring, you know, if they bring in a forward in the January winter, then Martial will be rotated a lot more. Rashford can also play striker, so keep that in mind. And then finally, it's my potential picks for game week 17. Got to have Haaland, most definitely. I've put Darwin on there and I've put Martial on there. I really want to have Martial. I think the Man United fixtures are so nice that having their forward, having their striker is something that you should be looking at. He might become Wilson. If I can afford it, I will bring Martial up to Callum Wilson. Because Newcastle have quite decent fixtures and he allows me to jump on Martial. It's easier to jump from Wilson to Martial to Mitrovic to Nketiah and whoever than having Martial and jumping up to Mitrovic, jumping up to Wilson. You know, it's a little bit more tricky. So if I can afford it, I'll probably have Wilson instead of Martial. Mitrovic is in my thinking, but that 4 yellow card thing kind of scares me off. That I kind of hope he gets 1 more yellow card like before his double. And that kind of throws everyone off, and then Martial and Wilson just outscore him by a mile. That'd be brilliant. But that's going to do it for the video, guys. Please consider liking this video, subscribing to my channel to show your support, and help me grow this community. I am so thrilled that you guys helped me get to 100 subscribers. Leave a comment below telling me what your thinking is, who are your forwards. Did you like this mini-series? What do you want to see next from me? You know, I'm also on Twitter. You can follow me there if you want. And you can also just send me a DM there and tell me what you want from a video perspective. If there's any cool ideas, I might do it. That's going to do it, guys. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.